Well, very early good morning to all of you all out there in YouTube and Twitch land. Good morning, maybe good afternoon. It is a very early right now for me, 5 a.m., just a little bit after 5 a.m. And I wanted to get another live stream episode out there on YouTube, try to catch up to my good friend Farmer Klein, who is well ahead of me. And so I decided to get up a bit early this morning and get a live stream out. Of course, I realize that a lot of my regulars probably will not be seeing this episode, or at least they will not be seeing this episode live, as they are most likely still asleep. But who knows, maybe I am catching an audience that is completely new to the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. In other words, maybe some of those fine folks from across the pond. So we are participating in the Old Guy Farmer challenge. And that challenge basically tells us that we need to start from this screen, and we're coming up here to our save game file, which is the Old Guy Farms. We are where we left off with episode number 1 at $219,000, $558. And our time played is 1 hour and 37 minutes. We are playing in hard mode, so let's go ahead and get things loaded back up. We don't need to make any changes to our mod, so we're going to just kind of leave that as it is and just go ahead and get right into the action here. Now, where we left off, we had a little bit of a problem because I was kind of being a bit stupid yesterday or last night in trying to advance time, and I was doing it wrong. But I have understood the error of my ways, and so all of that should be working now just fine. And we will just let things get loaded up here and then proceed with all the action that we need to basically do. And then, of course, at some point in the live stream, I will, of course, announce the code word that you all will need to basically go out and register for the day or for the episode 2 giveaway option. So we basically are starting off. This is the early morning of the second game day. And we're here on the Goldcrest Valley edit. This is a very special edit that was created just for this challenge. And again, sort of where we left off is I think what we need to do is we need to go over to field number 12, and we need to cultivate that field. So we're going to do that ourselves. These few game days are going to kind of be a bit slow for me, I think, because I'm going to do traditional farming in the sense that we're going to be planting wheat and barley and canola, at least on our 3 fields that we currently own at this present time. That could change, of course, if we were to decide to do some missions, or maybe invest a little bit of our 200 and something thousand dollars that we have somewhat accumulated. And we have accumulated that through the process of selling some of the equipment that we don't need right now through sort of the advice of Mr. Mark DuPont in last night's stream. And I would encourage you, if you are not familiar with his YouTube channel, I would encourage you to consider watching that. It's quite a good channel. He encouraged me to sell the combine because basically the combine would just basically be a money pit for us at this particular early stage of our gameplay, and just more or less force us into what in the world is that? That is weird. That is weird why we have barrels out in this field. These barrels were not there last night, nor did I place them there, but they seem to have disappeared. Okay, that's a little bit of an anomaly, I think. Anyway, and I think Mark was right in what he was saying. Essentially, the way that the challenge is working is that we have to play in 15x time. We have to play with the seasons mod. We have to play with We have to play with 6 game days per season, and I'm used to playing with 6 game days per season. What I'm not used to is I'm not used to playing at 15x time. And let me tell you, when you are not used to doing something, and then all of a sudden you change sort of your plan, or your plan of action, whatever you want to call it, your whole project, to something a little bit different. It really sort of keeps you on your toes, and almost it takes you out of your comfort level. And they tell us in sort of in our professional lives, from time to time I go to all of these courses and everything that try to teach me to be a better professional and all that kind of stuff. And oftentimes they encourage us to definitely consider stepping outside of our comfort zone. And it's always a struggle for me to do that, because again, I think human nature and sort of where we create our lives and where we create things for ourselves, for our families and everything, we very much like to be comfortable. We like to sort of stay within that comfort zone. I can tell you that the secret for today is going to be certainly going to be coffee. I streamed until about 9:15 last night, and I think I was a bit excited after the live stream. Went upstairs and was kind of rattling on about a mile or two a minute with the wife, telling her about the live stream and about some of the folks that stopped by and said hello. And so I think I was a little bit, like I said, I think I was a little bit excited, and I didn't sleep that great last night. Had one of those tossing and turning kind of nights, and at one point I woke up and I thought, well, I wonder if I should just basically get up now and put up a live stream and see who I can find out there that wants to watch my farm sim gameplay. But I did manage to fall back to sleep, and but I usually get up about 5 o'clock anyway. And as I'm just coming back to work from vacation, I do have quite a busy schedule today. But I certainly don't need to be in the office before 7 o'clock anyway. And so I figured, hey, what the heck, we'll go ahead and get another episode up on YouTube and get it a little bit closer to getting completed with the challenge. Of course, if you do the math, and of course we've got to play this map for 3 years. That is part of the challenge, is we are basically playing the map for 3 whole years. So 1, 2, 3. And if you know that, if you've watched my channel, then you know that the longest that I've ever played a map in Farm Sim 17 has been 2 years, and that was with Lawfolds. And of course, much of Lawfolds was played at 1x speed. Excuse me while I take a sip of coffee. So much of Lawfolds was played at 1x speed. And we had many episodes of that series. I sort of forget how many episodes total we had now. I think somewhere north of 60 episodes. So this is going to come out to be about 72 episodes in length, and that's just basically doing an episode per game day, because that's about all that we're going to about have time to do, playing at 15x speed the way that we are. It's going to it's going to come quick. Now, last night's stream, if you are going back and listening for that code word in episode number 1, you know that stream was about 1 hour and 45 minutes or so. That is because, again, sort of my mistake, because I was not doing the right thing with the auto night feature within the seasons mod. I had never used that before, and so anyway, that's just a different story. But Looks like we've got some fog coming in. Joy, joy. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that the streams normally won't be that long. I think they'll be closer to about an hour, because what I ended up doing was I ended up working through the entire night. So we sort of pulled a 24-hour shift yesterday in getting the things done that we needed to get done on the farm. And I won't be doing that each and every episode, primarily because that would be an unrealistic schedule to keep for a farmer. So while this challenge basically boils down to, at the end of the 3 years, so the last game day of winter of the 3rd year, so essentially episode 72, before the end of that episode, we will basically sell everything that we own, all the equipment, all the animals if we have set up animals on our maps. And we do have sheep. I did purchase 25 head of sheep yesterday. Sheep, obviously, as we sort of learn with Lawfolds, are a good producer. They're a good money generator for us, because essentially all they need is water and grass or hay. And thankfully, the map designer gave us about 8 bales of hay to start off with. So we've got that. So I sort of felt like, okay, well, we're selling some of our equipment. We don't necessarily need to just let that let that money sit in the bank. It's not going to earn us anything that way. So we might as well kind of bring in something that we sort of know works. Obviously, pigs are not the animals that we want to necessarily bring into the mix, but in any event, we have chosen sheep to do that. But anyway, at the end of the 3rd winter, so at the end of the 3rd year, we will basically sell everything. And whoever ends the challenge with the most money after all the debts are paid, after all the equipment has been sold, after all the animals have been sold, all the grain and the silos, etc., after all of that has been done, essentially that is going to be who the winner is, whoever has the most profit there. And of course, you know, from watching my channel on a regular basis, you kind of know that for me, it's sort of the joy of the simulation is what I enjoy about playing not only this game, but about any of the simulation-based games that I have in my catalog. It's sort of the joy of the play. It's not necessarily about, you know, did I make enough money, or did I pay off, you know, all of the debt and everything, because for the most part, with the exception of the original Goldcrest Valley map that came out with Farm Sim 17 back last October, late October, when it was released, I have really not played the career mode or the starving farmer type gameplay. I have sort of set things up the way that I wanted to set it up in the game, and sort of rolled with that. Even on my most recent series, Mountain Valley Farm, where that's sort of a hard-working type map where we had to clear all the trees and everything, I basically took the storyline that essentially, you know, I had repurchased or inherited grandfather's farm, and through some investments and through just some hard work of my own doing, basically managed to scrape up enough money to kind of breathe new life into the farm. And so that's kind of the storyline that we're going with. But I have never really focused on a map sort of this way. And of course, with the time constraints of playing in 15x speed, with the fact that also we cannot fast forward time except from between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. So essentially we have to farm 7 days a week in a sense, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 3 years straight. What I was saying was basically I'm not going to be doing the 24 hours of farming, essentially 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. because, again, from a realistic standpoint, no human individual could endure that over a long period of time. And so again, while the end result is to try to make as much money as possible, I also want to continue with my sort of realism through simulation approach and try to do things as realistic as possible, just from that simple standpoint that, you know, this is a simulation-based game, and so therefore, with it being a simulation-based game, I want to put a little bit of real-world knowledge and real-world understanding and everything into that gameplay. And so, also with that said, you know, while time is money and time is of the essence because it is ticking away, and we started this stream at about 6:30 this morning, 6:30 game time, and now it's almost 10 o'clock. So as you can tell, time is getting away from us. But at the same time, I'm not wanting to just go through the motions so quickly and drive through fields and drive through crops and, you know, do that kind of stuff. So I will be doing a more realistic approach to how we're attempting to try to win this challenge. I don't know what my chances are. Again, it's sort of more the experience and more the interaction with some of the other participants that have entered the challenge, like for example Farmer Klein, who is a good friend of mine, and I enjoy watching his videos and his map reviews. And again, I encourage you that if you're watching out there, you're watching maybe the live stream after it's already aired, listening for the code of the day word, I would encourage you to check out his channel, and you'll find a link to his channel down below the video screen. Now, down below the video screen, you'll also find links to quite a few of my other friends, my other YouTube content creators who also produce excellent farm sim and other simulation-based gaming content. Many of these guys are part of a network called the Three Dudes Gaming Network, and I have a link to that website, and I would encourage you, if you're looking for a nice community, laid-back community, check that out. Also, many of the same guys that are down below that are linked into my videos, my friends, who I consider my friends, are also members of the PCSG network as well, and that is, again, another very laid-back, community-driven community, if you will. And we have just launched a brand new site, and I say we because I am fortunately an admin, a moderator over there, have been for 2 years. And as I was telling the stream last night, and my apologies because my sinuses are a little bit working overtime today, but as I was telling the live stream last night, essentially PCSG is a community that is very mature and very understanding that we have new people that enter the hobby, and let's just call it what it is. This is a hobby. This is it becomes sort of a part of you, simulation-based gaming, whether it's farm sim, truck sim, or whatever. We like to get immersed into it. Well, you know, we've all started as brand new individuals to a game or to a concept or whatever, and we may have questions. Well, one of the things that we're not going to tell you over at PCSG is to, you know, if you ask a question, we're not going to tell you, or we're not going to we're not going to essentially get onto you for not searching first or for not using Google or whatever. We understand that, you know, not everyone understands the correct terms to search, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves with forums and communities, and even some of these Facebook pages. I kind of get a laugh sometimes when I read some of these comments, because folks will ask a question in a Facebook community, and the individuals that are, you know, part of that community almost take this offense approach that, you know, why are you asking this question? Well, why did you create the community? I mean, the whole concept of having a community or having a forum is for people to ask questions and for people to chat and get to know each other and everything. And I get that, you know, there's a lot more to just, you know, the whole getting to know each other kind of thing. There really is the educational component, the sharing of knowledge and saying to someone, hey, you know, I've been playing this game since the farm sim 15 days, and I kind of know a little bit about it, and I kind of understand horseplay, and I kind of have this general knowledge of how things work, and hey, I would like to help new folks, you know, and that's why we join these communities. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock, coming up on lunchtime. Now, of course, we can't stop because we can only fast forward from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. But I do want to just, you know, say for anyone who might be new to the Seasons mod is we are planning on doing traditional farming on this map and with our challenge and everything. So we will be planting at least wheat, barley, and canola to start with our 3 fields. We cannot plant anything. We cannot put anything in the ground until we reach a soil temperature of 41 degrees or higher. We're at 37 now. So in other words, we have all of our fields have been plowed. They have been fertilized the first time, and they have then been cultivated. And I realize that, you know, we can sort of seed directly on a plowed field if we want to. Oops, wrong side. Wrong side, Jerry, as I run over a chicken or two. Anyway, I realize that we can basically seed on top of a freshly plowed field if we want to, but I'm not a rural farmer, and I don't pretend to be a rural farmer, but I do know that essentially most rural farmers tell you that, you know, they essentially try not to do that practice for the simple fact that it's just a little bit harder on the equipment and everything. And again, because we have this extra time, because we really can't do anything until that soil temperature comes up to the minimums, and it's going to be a little while before that happens. I think our soil temperature actually dropped. I think we were in the neighborhood of about 39 during yesterday's episode, and I'm just going to basically put some of our equipment back after yesterday's work, after last night's live stream. I essentially just sort of left things kind of where we were with the stuff, and so I'm just kind of now just kind of taking a bit of time to put things away. And so, I mean, there are things obviously that we could do. I sold a lot of the equipment that I sort of felt like that we would not be using or needing, and again, sort of at the advice of Mark DuPont, and I think it was wise advice, selling the combine. We had a nice case combine, but I don't even think that we needed something that large with this map. And of course, there's no need for us to pay maintenance on something for such a period of time when we don't necessarily are going to need to use it or going to get any benefit from it. So basically what we're going to try is we're going to try to basically leverage the rental concept within Farm Sim 17 to take care of some of those equipment needs whenever it comes around to needing them. So for example, we will rent the combine excuse me, we will rent the combine once it becomes time to harvest our fields. So as I mentioned before, we do have 25 head of sheep, and they are producing wool, so that obviously is a good thing for us. And I'm just going to move this water tanker and set this over here. So again, folks, this is a challenge map that I have sort of accepted the challenge to participate in. And of course, you could do the same thing. There are several stipulations to the challenge, or several rules or guidelines, or whatever you want to basically say, and however you want to refer to that. And you can read those. I've put a link to where you can get to the rules. But I am also running a contest because I mentioned back in probably February perhaps, I decided that I wanted to monetize my YouTube channel, and I was quite honest and open about the reason why I wanted to do that. The reason why I wanted to monetize my YouTube channel was a very simple reason, and that was because I wanted to be able to I wanted to basically be able to schedule videos, and that's the only way that you can schedule a video to release in advance is to monetize your channel. Now, I said then to my channel, to my viewers that I had, my subscriber numbers were probably around 200 at that particular point in time. I told you all that, I wasn't necessarily interested in earning a living from YouTube. YouTube is not my full-time job, nor will it ever become my full-time job, because I already have one of those. And I also have a wife that basically would think that I was crazy if I ever contemplated that I wanted to basically do something other than my real job or my full-time job, especially coming up on almost 51 years of age. And so with that said, then I don't need the income that I'm getting from YouTube. And so I have made a little bit of money from YouTube through the sponsor, through the ads and everything that you guys watch and hopefully enjoy. I don't know how anyone could really enjoy an advertisement, but anyway, I'm making a little bit of money from it, and so I'm giving back. So my part of this is each episode that I live stream, I am going to announce a code word. And that code word that I provide during the live stream is sort of a key that, tells me that you have at least watched part of the episode, at least long enough to listen for the code word. And no, I'm not going to put the code word at the very beginning of the video, because I want you to at least listen and watch some of my content. We're going to go and sell this plow here because we simply don't need it. So anyway, each episode I will provide a code word for you, and with that code word is sort of your opportunity to enter my contest, where I'm giving away 3 Steam copies of the new DLC that will be coming out in November from Giants. It's the Platinum expansion pack for Farm Sim 17. Includes all the great new content that Giants is going to give to us through that expansion pack. And I will be giving away 3 copies, so 1, 2, 3 copies of that DLC pack, the expansion pack, not the full Farm Sim 17 Platinum Edition, but just the expansion edition, or the expansion pack. So back to the whole concept of this map, 72 episodes. It's going to basically take 72 game days to accomplish this task. That's 6 seasons playing 3 years. I hope to be done. I have to be done by November 1st, because we have to basically submit our entry for the contest ourselves on November 1st. I hope to be done by then. Of course, this is only episode 2, and while it's still a long ways to November, when we think about things, especially as hot as it is outside, and the fact that we've just gotten through the July 4th weekend, but I also know that, I'm busy, and I've got other commitments and stuff like that, so I know that that's going to come quickly. Before I know it, it's going to be August, and then before I know it, it's going to be September, and etc. So we're going to sell that plow because, again, we don't need it, and that is gone, and that we'd rather have that money in our bank account than have it sitting in a piece of equipment that we don't need. So we've got a weight up here that we need to pick up as well, so we'll go ahead and do that while we're here. Alright, we got our weight. So in any event, you can watch my live streams live if you want to, if it fits your schedule. And of course, right now I don't expect any of my regulars to be watching, because either they're still asleep or they are probably at work. But obviously you can listen for the code throughout the the archived live streams on YouTube, and you can enter the contest that way. So I will give out the code word for episode number 2 at just a little bit later stage. So one of the things that we can do as part of the, being in compliance with the rules is we can do missions if we want to, if they sort of present themselves, if they sort of fit within the time frame that we have and within our own goals and all that kind of stuff. Now, I played Goldcrest Valley when it first came out. I also played a Goldcrest Valley edit that Stevie did, and so I'm kind of familiar with the map with Goldcrest Valley. Let's see, we've got a mission here, but that doesn't, $2,000, $3,000. Let's see if we can get a little bit better price. Nope, it's going backwards. Nope. Let's see what this one might be, because obviously the concept is we want to make as much money as possible, which also means we want to best leverage the little bit of money that we have, that we've sort of been able to accrue. And yeah, let's let's go up and check out the other field that's a little bit closer to the farm. I'm kind of trying to remember how I sort of did my strategy when I played Goldcrest Valley, and how I sort of began purchasing farms and doing missions. And by the way, I haven't done a mission since the original Goldcrest Valley came out, because that's about the only map in Farm Sim 17 where I have sort of played against what I call career mode, where essentially I start with the bare minimum, whatever the map provides, and I build up from there. So 16, but only 15 minutes. I think we'll do this mission. Now the interesting thing, and this is something that Mark DuPont brought up last night, because originally I wasn't going to do the missions because I sort of thought that it would be a waste of time. But Mark reminded me that when we're doing a mission, essentially our time goes back to 1x time speed while we're doing the mission itself. So if we're going to go ahead and do this, well, the price dropped because I backed out of it. But it's at almost 2 o'clock, 1663. We will go ahead and do this mission just for the sake of doing it. So here we go. I don't really think we need the weight, but we will go ahead, I suppose, and put the weight on. I don't think it penalizes us for not using the weight. I know that I used to use the weights on some of these missions, and some of them I did not. And I can't honestly remember why I sort of felt like it was kind of odd that we had to put the weight on the tractor, and why maybe the weight just couldn't come already installed on the tractor back again when I used to do missions a little bit more regularly. And I am going to set up this GPS just to kind of help with things. And off we go. So anyway, our time supposedly, if memory serves me correctly, has gone down to 1x speed. Hello, Country Girl 45. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping back by. It's going well. I was so excited after last night's stream that I really didn't sleep that well last night, and so I woke up a bit early this morning just because I don't need to be in the office until 7 today, and so I kind of thought, well, I'm going to try to get caught up with a good buddy, Farmer Klein, who I think is already like at episode 4 of his video series, and so I will try to get a bit caught up with him. And of course, this is a mission, so we need to make sure that we hit our time constraints. Hello, Ray Disto Tudo, I think, maybe. Maybe I just really screwed that name up. My apologies. So anyway, I've got a couple of viewers there on the live stream. Just want to remind you all that I am running a contest. If you are interested in winning your very own copy of the expansion DLC pack for Farm Sim 17 that will be coming out this fall in November, then you need to be a subscriber of my channel. That's your first requirement. And then your second requirement is you need to listen for the code word of the day, which I have yet to give. I have not given the code word out today. But once I do give that code word out, once you hear that code word, you basically can follow the directions down below the video screen, which will show you how to enter the contest, my very own contest, for giving away 3 copies of that DLC pack. So listen for that code word, which I will give out later. We'll go back over here and fill in some of this space here. So anyway, I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful day. Most likely morning for you. At least I believe it's morning for Country Girl 45. I know it's morning for me, and the coffee tastes really well this morning. I have a feeling that coffee is going to be a theme today for me, just simply because, again, I said I sorta didn't sleep well last night, and so with that said, I sort of think that that's going to be. Is it for only the PC? Unfortunately, Country Girl 45, this map has only been released for the PC, and so so basically the only way to enter the challenge itself is if you play for PC, or are you talking about the DLC? The DLC, I will be doing that, awarding that out through Steam. I hadn't done, like I said earlier, I hadn't done mission work since the very first early stages of me playing Farm Sim 17 back on the original Goldcrest Valley. And I'm a bit rusty. It's that whole time clock thing, you know. It's that whole you know, time's ticking away, and you gotta make sure you get the work done so you get the bonus and all that kind of stuff. But I think the whole mission idea is a brilliant idea, and it was certainly something that I think we all welcomed to Farm Sim 17 when it first came out. But I think that for many of us, we worked several missions, many dozens of missions. I think I did on the original Goldcrest Valley map, and I think when it got around to playing some of the modded maps that came out for Farm Sim 17 in the very early stages, even if those maps had missions, I was pretty much at that point, I was pretty much bored with the whole mission concept, and I sort of figured that, okay, it was really better for me to focus my time and energy on working on my own farm instead of working for someone else, because I just never had that sense of time that I felt like I had enough time to go and do something else. Braden Graves, thank you so much for your like, and thank you so much for your subscription. So I'll be giving out that code here in just a few minutes. I won't make you guys wait too terribly long for it, and I will give that code out to you, and then that way you can enter for the contest, my contest that I'm giving away, which is completely different from the challenge award itself. Alright, so I'm just updating my spreadsheet because I decided to change my code word for this day, and I wanted to change the spreadsheet so that I would keep track and remember that I had actually changed the code word. So before I give the code word out, where's everybody in the stream watching from? Where's home for you? Where do you call home? And for me, home is Denver, Colorado, where it is about 5:45 in the morning for me. So anyway, based on the mission concept, if we can do enough work on this field here, field number 19, and again, I kind of like to, you know, if I'm going to do mission work, or if I'm going to be thinking about and planning purchasing of other new fields, I kind of like to think about keeping those fields in somewhat of a consistent order or consistent proximity to the main farm, so I'm not having to drive all over the map. And so I'm thinking maybe if we can do enough work on field number 19, if we'll just kind of focus on that, then perhaps maybe we can even buy field number 19 this year and not have to wait until our second year to buy additional fields. And of course, the other advantage to buying a field after we've sort of done the work for the owner of the field is that not only do we get it for a little bit less expensive price, but we also let them take the burden of the cost of the seed and the fertilizer and stuff like that. So obviously, you know, this guy is paying for the seed that we're putting down, and yet we're going to basically get a more or less of a bonus in the form of a lesser price, cheaper price, if we want to turn around and buy this field. And so the more work that we do, the better the reputation that we will get for this particular field, and of course that price will continue to come down. Now, I suppose maybe in the more perfect strategy for doing missions with this particular challenge, we would actually have a hired worker working and doing other things. But as I had pointed out earlier in the stream, basically we can't really do anything else to our fields until we get ready to plant. And we can't seed anything until that soil temperature comes up. It's at 37 degrees and we need it to be at 42. So I'm hopeful. I don't even know if we'll get that much of a jump with the next game day as we get into mid-spring. So it may even be a little bit later. So we may have to shift our strategy just a little bit into what we decide to do next. Now, for this challenge, and just to kind of stay somewhat competitive in it, I'm sort of thinking that, well, we need to do a little bit of forestry work, because there's a lot of trees on this map, and obviously a lot of trees mean a lot of money if we want to take advantage of that. And but unfortunately, I don't necessarily like to do forestry with a chainsaw and a fork loader and that kind of stuff. So while I may be forced to start doing a little bit of logging with a chainsaw if I can't justify affording the Scorpion and everything, but most likely, again, sort of due to time constraints, most likely we will use auto-loading functionality to kind of speed the process up a little bit for us. Alright, so I need to kind of get rolling here because we got 3 minutes and some change left, and I want to get that time bonus, because otherwise why do the missions if you can't get the bonus? And just as soon as we're done with this mission, I will provide you all the code word of the day. Good morning, Martin. Martin is from Germany. Well, good morning to you, or probably good afternoon to you. Hopefully, if everything works out with my schedule, I hope to do episode 3, or do my next live stream this evening, USA time. Once I get home from work and get some food in me and spend a little bit of time with the wife, I hope to get back downstairs and do another live stream. Try to get caught up. Basically, we've got until November 1st to enter for the challenge, to submit our success or our failure. And of course, success is going to be measured on just how much money we make after it's all said and done. And we didn't even get the time bonus, so yeah, we just sort of wasted too much time talking and not really getting after it. So anyway, so it's 10 minutes after 2 in the afternoon. So I will go ahead and give you the code word, the code of the day, the word of the day, the code word that you will need to be able to enter my contest, the Grizzly Bear Sims contest giveaway, which I will be awarding 3 lucky winners with their very own Farm Sim 17 Platinum Expansion DLC pack from Steam. The word of the day is coffee. Coffee is the word of the day. C-O-F-F-E-E. So if you follow the instructions down below, that'll tell you how you need to go about entering the contest. And so take advantage of that. And again, the word of the day is coffee. All right, so let me, and most likely I'll mention the word of the day again before we get too far along. Okay, this guy here won't do very large trees, and so really the money in cutting down trees and everything obviously is part of the whole. That's why we do that. The bigger the tree, the more money that we basically are going to basically make. Now we can place as part of the rules, sort of the guidelines for the challenge itself, is we can put down some placeables, but they have to be the placeables. They have to be the default placeables that came within Farm Sim. So there are some placeables that we can put down that fits within the rules and everything. I'm trying to look and see where might be the best place to plop some of these things down. Because if we were to go with placeables, I would probably also take advantage of the manure heap placeable, which we can buy inexpensive manure, and that's the road out of here. I suppose we could go that route. I suppose we could put some placeables along here. Let's see. What version of Goldcrest is this? This is a Goldcrest edit that was created by Old Guy Farmer or Old Guy Gaming, Old Farmer Guy, something like that. It's in the it's down below the video screen. Um, Okay, we'll start off with two for now. And basically the way that this manure heap works and sort of the way that it fits in within the storyline that we're going to be doing is that we buy manure from other farmers and they sell it to we buy it at a cheap price, and so we can actually get that manure since we don't have animals that currently produce it. And I don't know how much it is per bucket, but we'll sort that out whenever we get there. And that'll give us a little bit of income that'll be coming in and give us something to do as well. And at some point I need to make the decision as to when we decide to, if we want to do some forestry, perhaps now, or maybe wait until a little bit later. Now, of course, we can also hunt the gold nuggets. There are gold nuggets on this map, and we could do that. But, and of course get the $1 million as a result of that. But, when we want to do that, I don't know. We might want to wait until a little bit later in the year. Or we might be forced to kind of do it maybe even earlier as well, because essentially if the soil temperature doesn't come up where we can plant our wheat, barley, canola that we plan to plant on the 3 fields that we own, then essentially we're going to have to figure out something else to do, because we don't want to just burn, we don't want to burn daylight if we can avoid it. Of course, the challenge itself, if you're wondering why I'm playing in 15x time, well, that is the stipulation of the challenge. The challenge basically tells us that we've got to play in 15x time, and we've got to play with seasons mod, and we've got to play at 6 game days per season. Alright, I think we have to buy a special bucket to take advantage of getting manure out of that manure heap. And so let's see, is it under here maybe? Of course, now that we've got that manure heap, we can also use manure to fertilize our fields for the second year. Okay, fill trigger tools. This is it here, the shovel. We will have that reset, or aka delivered to the farm, and then we'll get in our telehandler here and we'll go grab a hold of that. And then we'll at least get these up and going in this game day. Because again, we can't fast forward time until we get to 9 o'clock in the evening. So each bucket of manure that we take out of that manure heap will cost us a little bit of money, but it'll be at a much cheaper price than if we were to be owning pigs or cows and having to feed those guys to have them producing manure for us. Let's see, maybe we have to. Here we go. So it's sort of a, if you think of it as sort of a automatic fill point there. We could also back a manure spreader up if we wanted to. And just hit the R key and get manure out of there. Alright, for those of you watching that may not have heard the word of the day so that you could enter in the contest, the word of the day is the word coffee. And coffee is going to be something that is most likely going to fuel my day today, because I had sort of a late night last night and an early morning, and I'm going to need caffeine, but the word of the day is coffee. So $103 to fill that up. Again, that's certainly a lot cheaper than what it would cost us if we were to try to raise cows and all that stuff to try to get manure for our needs. So hopefully 3 will give us some money. That was my alarm to tell me that I needed to tell you all the word of the day. So we've already done that. So I think what I'll do is, since this bucket is going to primarily be our bucket that we're going to use for manure, I'm just going to leave it up here. It already has a little bit of manure in it that we've already purchased, so hopefully that doesn't disappear. Okay, so 10 minutes after 5 in the evening. We've got a few more hours before we can fast forward time. One thing that I realized that happened last night was I went to feed the sheep and I took 2 bales of hay over, and they only required 1, and so I just basically dropped the other one. Hello Farmer Oops, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping back by again. As I know that you were watching my live stream last night, I will tell you, if you just joined my channel, the word of the day for today, for this episode, is the word coffee. And I'm just going to go ahead and move this. Whoops. The word of the day is coffee. Again, it's going to be kind of my theme today, is I'm probably going to need a little bit of coffee to get through the day. Now, some of you folks might be wondering, or might want to point out, that I'm using a pallet fork to handle bales. Actually, I prefer a pallet fork, especially the more or less the standard. If that's all I have access to, if I don't have one of the auto-locking bell forks, I do prefer the pallet forks. They're a little bit more stable, I have found, so they work just fine. So there you go. don't necessarily need two things when one thing will do just fine. Alright, so I think we have pretty much sold everything that we can sell. We have sold pretty much everything that I think that we won't need or use. One thing I wanted to take a look at is this trailer, this tipper trailer here. Let's look in our garage and see what the capacity of that thing is. 21,000, and it's worth roughly $17,000. I was going to let's see. Let's look at this again. So that capacity is 21,000, and this one is actually cheaper, and it's part of the expansion pack. So I think that we might do ourselves a favor. Again, we kind of need something to do because we can't plan anything right now, and it's a little bit too late in the day to take on a project like logging, even if we were going to do that at this stage. So I think after I get my tractor in the right gear, I think we will take this tipper and we will sell it, because again, I don't think we need this, and the value of it is a little bit more than the value of the Massey. So I think what we're going to do is we'll take advantage and we'll sell this, take this into town. We get a little bit more money for taking things to the store to sell than you do if you sell them directly from your inventory. So that's just food for thought for you guys that are doing your own virtual farming. Of course, I figure you've probably already known that for some time, but if you don't, that's your little secret for the day, or that's your tip for the day, is you get a little bit more. It's not a whole lot more. I mean, it's not like double the price or anything, but it is a percentage or two more. I'm not exactly sure how much more, but it's worth our time, I think, for this episode as we kind of wrap things up, and we'll see. I am hoping that soil temperature comes up. That would be a good thing, I think, for me, because Farmer Klein was the individual who basically tipped me onto this challenge. I was watching a live stream, archive live stream that he released, I believe, yesterday or the day before, and I thought, that's a cool idea. That's a novel idea. Plus, I had been sort of wanting to get back into live streaming a little bit. I've had a pretty hectic schedule with work the last couple of weeks, and I used to live stream about twice a week, and so I hadn't been doing that for a little while, and so I thought that would be cool to live stream these episodes. Hello. And now he is taking a completely different approach to things. He is doing all grass, because he is going to basically cut grass, and he is going to bell that grass and turn that grass into silage bells, because again, part of the challenge is we cannot do the traditional BGA stuff. So we can't just grow crops and cut them for chaff and take them to the BGA and make money that way. Of course, we all know that the BGA profit is not what it was, or not like it was in Farm Sim 15. It's been reduced quite a bit in 17, but in any event, so that's his method of doing things. And of course, because, and I just turned wrong, because of that sort of that strategy that he's going with, which I think is a valid strategy, he was actually able to plant his grass, because grass can be planted with a minimum soil temperature of, I believe, 37 degrees. So he was essentially able to plant his grass fields early, whereas we are basically having to wait until until our temperature gets up to a minimum of 42 degrees. Hello Simon, welcome to the stream. South Wales he's coming from. This is a very interesting challenge. We'll enjoy watching yours and Farmer Klein's progress. Yeah, Farmer Klein is certainly much more on his way, well on his way to his challenge. I think he is at episode 4, so I guess he's into four game days already, whereas I'm just kind of wrapping up game day number 2 here. We've got 2 hours to go. And we got off to a little bit of a rocky start with our first episode. And then, of course, if you're watching Farmer Klein's progress, you know that he's going with grass. And so he's already got his fields planted. We can't plant anything until that soil temperature comes up to 42 degrees. We are going to do traditional farming. That's pretty much what I'm sort of banking on, is going that method. Now, Simon, if you're not aware of my little contest that I'm running, I will go ahead and once again repeat the code word of the day. You can get all the information for the contest down below the video screen, and of course these episodes will be archived and you can come back in and listen for that code word. The code word from yesterday, from episode number 1, you'll have to watch that episode to get that code word, but the code word for today is the word coffee, because coffee is going to be something that I'm going to probably need a lot of today, just simply because I was up late last night and I was up early this morning, and so coffee is going to be the theme for today. So in other words, for some of you folks who are new to seasons, again, these are the minimum soil temperatures that we need, the ground temperature that we need to be able to plant these items. So we're going to go with wheat, barley, and canola, at least for our first 3 fields for this first year. And we need a minimum soil temperature of 41 degrees to be able to plant that and have those crops be successful. Now, this is the last game day of early spring. When we come back for episode number 3, we will be in mid-spring, which we will be fast forwarding to in just a few moments once it gets 9 o'clock. And but basically, we need our soil temperature to come up, and we need it to come up, what, 5 degrees? So I don't know if we're going to get a 5-degree jump overnight. I have a feeling that that's not going to happen until probably the game day after that. So I will need to think about the strategy that I'm going to use. I suppose we could ride a bicycle around until our soil temperature comes up, but in any event, now here's something sort of weird that I noticed today when we started this particular game day, was these barrels. These barrels were out here in the middle of the field. I pushed them out of the way simply because they were in the middle of this field, and that was not the case last night. So I don't know if something jumping into this particular game day, if they rolled over there. So obviously they should go back to wherever they were supposed to be when I end this game, because usually that's how these things work, is they will go back to where that they were originally supposed to be. And so we will just have to kind of figure out if that's going to be the case. And I realized that, in Farmer Klein's strategy, he is taking advantage of every minute of the day, and I should probably be doing the same thing. But again, I'm only going to run this episode or this session another game hour. So basically we're waiting for 2100. It's coming up on 8 o'clock now, and I can smell the nice food that the wife has been cooking over there in the house that looks so welcome and inviting with the warm amber lights. And we'll just pick up that other egg and just basically wait until it's time for us to fast forward. And again, we can't fast forward until 9 o'clock. The Seasons mod has a built-in skip night feature. It's left alt in, but we can't do that until 9 o'clock because it is just 8 o'clock right now. And we've parked everything up. We did a little bit of cleanup around because after last night's stream, I just kind of left equipment where it happened to um, be finished, where we finished it up with. And so, um, but yeah, just waiting for time here. Let's go over and take a look at our sheep. We did buy 25 head of sheep because sheep were quite good to us in law folds, produce quite a bit of wool, and sheep are cheap, although they don't produce manure or liquid slurry. They only require hay or grass and water, and they do produce a little bit of wool in the spring and summer with the seasons mod. And so, so let's just take a look at our animals and make sure, because we may need to give them some water tomorrow, and they're at 38% on their wool production, so that's good. So outside of that, again, we're just kind of waiting for the next 39 minutes to pass by. So thank you all so much for watching my stream. I really do appreciate it, and I will just use this last few minutes of the time here to encourage you to go over and check out the Three Dudes Gaming Network and also check out PCSG. I am an admin and a moderator on both of those sites. PCSG, we just introduced a brand new forum software. So if you're not a member, go over there and sign up for an account. It's all free, and we're a very mature group of simulation gamers who understand that, well, you know, everyone starts new to these kind of things, and we don't chastise you if you ask questions and that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, we encourage it. We've got a lot of modders that are over there that's part of our community. So if you are looking at getting into modding, whether it be maps or equipment or something like that, I encourage you to register for an account over at PCSG so that you can ask your questions. How to do this, how to do that. We're all new to this at some stage in our life, and we've got a lot of folks that have a vast amount of knowledge in farm sim and other simulation-based games as well, and we like helping people, and so that's sort of the key, right? We're all in this to help each other. At least that's why I do this. That's why I stream. I enjoy answering questions on the stream. I enjoy encouraging others to do things a little bit differently. And I will tell you that this is a really, really big stretch outside of my comfort level. Having the pressures of this clock that's constantly ticking, that, you know, I feel like I'm wasting time, burning daylight, that sort of thing. But hey, it's still fun regardless of how we play this game, and I've always said that there's no right or wrong way to play the farm sim game or any simulation-based game. It's all in good fun, and I've certainly had fun with this challenge, and I look forward to the remaining 70 episodes. Yes, 72 episodes is what it's going to take to get this all done, and I hope that many of the 70 are going to be a little bit more action-packed than hopefully today's was. All right, so we are at 9 p.m., so we can basically do our Alt-In. So left Alt in, we're going to rest for another day. At 6 a.m. it will stop, and we will take a look at our soil temperature, 46 degrees. Yay, we can plant some stuff tomorrow, so we'll have that to do. So I'm going to click escape. I am going to save the game and just kind of go back here to this screen and go ahead and quit the game. And there we go. So we have wrapped up episode number 2. So thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Enter the contest, or my contest, if you're interested. And I look forward to chatting with you guys hopefully later this evening when I stream episode number 3. And it looks like we will get to do some planting, so that will be fun and at least give us something to do for the hour or so that it will take us to get that done. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and don't forget the word of the day is coffee. Take care now. Bye-bye.